Hey guys, this is Tammy from Full Circle PD. I am here with Rick Rowe and Beverly Ladd. We have some teammates missing tonight because of internet issues. That's okay, we'll keep going anyway. Tonight we're going to continue our conversation with our conversation about the whole child, and more specifically the whole child and social media. So we're going to Rick, do you want to say hello and let everybody know you're here and everything's working right?
I would love to say hello, and Tammy, as we've discussed, the whole child and the whole teacher on social media really, I think, reveals more about the individual, because so many of us are on social media right now, and therefore when we see the individual on social media, I think we see a better representation of who that individual is. So yes, I'm Rick, high school math teacher, Massachusetts, and thrilled to be here.
And Beverly, won't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how social media has impacted your classroom?
Wow.
That's a large scope. Okay, so Beverly Ladd, second grade, Wilmington, North Carolina. I include social media in my classroom with my second graders. Twitter, yes, Twitter. Blog, Skype, you name it, we have it. I totally believe in teaching kids how to use it in a safe way early on, and then that way, when they're in high school and college, it won't be harmful to them, and they'll know how to use it without distractions, and it provides a learning community in a safe way at an early age. So yeah.
So
I'd like to
go ahead, Rick.
Let me just jump in and say one thing. I just think a word just came to mind, and it's connectedness.
Yes, absolutely.
I think whether it's Tammy's kids, whether it's Bev's kids in their classroom, or whether it's Bev's kids connecting via Skype with kids all over the world, or our middle school or high school students connecting with each other, or us connecting in our network to stay fresh, to stay current, to try something new. I think being connected is huge. Bev?
There's another C word that's really good. It's one of my favorite words. You know what it is? Collaboration.
Yes! My favorite!
Yes, I mean, we started using Google Classroom this year, as well as Twitter and blogging and all that kind of fun things. And so it's been really fun for them to build their own learning communities in our classroom, as well as building learning communities with our pen pals, our Skype pals in Sweden, or our Skype-a-thon buddies in Malaysia, wherever it may be. These kids, these second graders, are having their own learning communities, collaborating, writing, blogging, tweeting.
Oh, Bev, thank you. Oh.
And even boxing, okay, yes, my little kids are boxing with kids in Australia. And it was so precious. One morning, I got a box from this class in Australia before the Skype-a-thon saying, we'll see you at 11:30 our time. And so but it was for my kid who had replied, are you going to see us in Skype-a-thon? That was when I was scheduling, and they were still talking with these classes or whatever. So it was just really sweet. That was my first thing I heard that morning, was that Voxer message. And it was just so sweet to hear all the pictures and the conversations going on through Voxer as a back channeling, preparing for Skype-a-thon. Yeah. So we're very connected, and we have in fact, after the Skype-a-thon on Monday, the room was a disaster. So I had them put the desk back in the way they wanted to. And they put them back, and after they did it, I said, well, why did you do it this way? They were just talking about it, and they found they're in their learning communities, 3 big groups of tables in their own learning communities. It was priceless. Great.
Bev, do you have room for one more second grader? I promise I can fit in.
Yes, come on in. Come on
I
in,
would love to be in your classroom.
Yes. You're welcome anytime. We can even hang out, Skype.
Oh, Tammy, doesn't that sound amazing? What she's got going on there? Tammy, did we lose you? Are you pretending? Tammy, are you pretending again? Well, now's the opportunity, Bev, to talk about Tammy if she's not here. Oh, she's back.
Now we have two Tammys.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if you guys want to handle that or not.
We were deciding if we were going to talk about you since you were frozen.
Oh, well, the recording, we're still broadcasting, so I would have heard about it.
That's right. Tammy, we were just saying that what Bev has going on in her classroom is amazing.
Yes. Yes. And my class joined her class in the back channel along the Twitter feed throughout the day. I kept it up and I kept it running. And so her little second graders definitely inspired my high schoolers.
Oh.
And I got a lot of, Miss Neal, they're only in second grade and they're doing this. Why aren't we doing this? And I'm like, I know what it's taken her to plan, and I'm planning an ed camp right now, so maybe next year.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thank you, Beverly.
It definitely takes, if you're doing a 24-hour, which I would question your insanity before you do that. It definitely takes a lot of dedication and passion to do it. So to any of those people out there who are considering it, question your sanity, your passion, and your dedication for it before you. I'm being serious. I'm being totally serious because it's the last 3 months. It's almost 24/7. Yeah.
We really missed you. Yes. Now, Beverly, would you not necessarily a 24-hour, but would you plan like an evening event? Would you be really open to doing something like where the kids come back at 6 or something like that?
Yeah.
In the evening?
Yeah.
To catch up with someone across the country or around the globe?
Yeah, I even thought about doing one for parents, to have parents come in like from maybe 6 to 9 or something like that, and just having a few Skypes just for the parents to come in and see what we do on an everyday basis, but have them to come back and so they can participate and they can Skype along with their kids and do it. I thought that would be really neat to do that.
Yeah, that sounds like that would be really neat.
Yeah.
All right, so that kind of brings us through the positive side of social media. We've kind of left off, we've kind of skimmed over the negative side recently, partly because we didn't want to negate all the positives, but partly because we really want to honor the fact that there is a negative side to social media. I think the things that Beverly is doing with her kids will really help as they grow older and become our students, Rick.
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, I would love to have Beverly's class just grow up into mine. That would be amazing.
Imagine what they would come in knowing and
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Can I throw one thing out there?
No.
Okay, let's just hypothetical situation here. My kids I have today. Now imagine if they got this every year, which is not going to happen. And I know this. I've witnessed it. So just imagine what my kids are doing. They're collaborating. They're connecting. They're deciding their own learning, and then putting them in the opposite situation. And when they're told to sit in a desk, they're told to read a book instead of going to a Skype and asking a person across the world. So just think about those two drastic scenarios happening, and that's what it's looking like when teachers are not as much, well, it's connected, but just not using social media. And social media does have its downsides and positive sides, but if you're not connected in some way, you're not opening up the world for collaboration with the kids.
And that's part that is actually part of the downside of social media.
Yeah.
What happens when the next teacher doesn't?
Yep. Because the kids are like,
And they know what's possible. They
Yeah,
know how global their learning can be, and now they
Yeah.
feel potentially stifled.
yeah.
Or could they help that teacher to reach out? Maybe.
Maybe.
Would
I
we
don't
be
know.
open? If we were that teacher, would we be open?
It depends on the teacher.
I would hope we would be. If our students are helping us, I would hope we could let them.
Yeah.
I think that the fear that those of us in our generation have with social media is still very prevalent in education today. Using it as part of technology integration, using it as a tool in the classroom, just like any other tool. A hammer is a beautiful thing when it builds a house. It's a horrible thing when it comes through a window or it cracks somebody's skull.
Yeah.
Same hammer.
Ouch! Ouch! I'm visual. Oh.
But it's the same hammer. It's the usage of the tool.
The appropriate usage of it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that those of us educators who choose to be in social media arenas with our students do so as partly as models, role models. We want you to see how to use this appropriately. Because oh my gosh, how many times do we turn on the news and we see kids who've posted inappropriate pictures of themselves, and now they have a record that's going to haunt them for the rest of their lives, and they're listed in a sex registry somewhere because they posted a picture of their boyfriend or girlfriend that wasn't appropriate. Because they didn't have anybody there. The playground didn't have anybody watching the kids. Yeah. We have all kinds, and you guys know the social media things that have happened with me this year. Things being said that weren't true at all. I mean, and they were so outrageous that everybody knew they weren't true. But, but if somebody looked me up in that particular arena, thankfully that's not a really popular arena, but if somebody looked me up in that arena, that's what they would see about me. And it wasn't anything I did. But watching the development of the students on my campus as they went through that and learned what is and isn't appropriate, that was a growing pain for us this year. And I think it's a growing pain for a lot of schools around the country.
Tammy, in a healthy way, it was a growing pain. They learned a bit from it.
Yeah, oh yeah. On the inside, once you get through the test.
I hear you.
Yeah. Being in the middle of it was not pleasant. But coming through the other side of it, and kids, the support that those of us adults that were talked about, the support from the kids was amazing, and that's what changed it. The students changed each other
because of the culture you've developed.
Right. Because of us seeing that whole child and them seeing the whole teacher. Really, that's what it comes down to. Because if they didn't have a relationship with me, why would they care?
Oh, why would they defend or support you?
Right. Yeah.
But they said, that's not Miss Neal. That's not Miss Neal.
Right. Very quickly.
Right.
Y'all stop talking about her. But that side is out there. And if we put our heads in the sand and we don't focus, we don't give it any attention, when we try to put blinders on and, well, we don't want to see the negative, then we're doing a disservice as well.
Well, Tammy, let me put this thought out there then. How do we provide a safety net, but yet not prevent them from making mistakes? How do we allow them to make mistakes that we can recover from, but at the same time give them as much flexibility and trust as possible? Bev, you're nodding. You know what I mean. Can you phrase it better?
Well, I can't phrase it better. I have an example of how I do this with my kids with Twitter. So at the beginning of the year, I teach digital citizenship like really heavy, and then I let my kids tweet. So I let them, they write the tweet. They have to learn how to do the 140 characters, which is very challenging for second graders. Nonetheless, it's we get through it. And then, so they have to write the tweet. I let them write the tweet, whatever it may be. They write it, and then they have to show it to me if I'm not standing right there before they tweet it. And then we talk about, and I have this little sign in my room that says, "Is that important? Is it is it relevant? Is it helpful?" All those kind of questions. And so, and I make them think about that before they tweet it, and then if it's good, then you have the green light to do it. So it's kind of like their safety net. Like they have the opportunity to write the tweet and to tweet it, but it has to come through me before they do it. They hit the tweet button. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, I want. It's almost like taking a student on a highway, getting their license. You want them driving, but you want to be able to grab the wheel at the last minute. You want to have a brake on your side. You want to make sure that if they make a mistake, it's not costly.
Well, I think that happens with programs like Edmodo, like Google Classroom, like Schoology. I hope I said that one right. Where they're in more of a walled garden.
Okay.
Okay, and things like Padlet, where comments can be moderated, especially at the elementary and middle school areas where we are training them up for high school, for college,
For life.
adulthood, for life. If we put our head in the sand and pretend like social media doesn't exist in the classroom,
then that's not helping the kids at all anyway.
Right. And so, Rick, the things that you do in your class with the classroom hashtags, that's definitely helping to train them up. Are kids going to make mistakes? You bet they are. You bet they are. If we live in the world of, and I saw this on a chat recently, where an administrator was saying they were afraid of what if the kid did something wrong. Well, what if they don't?
Well, okay, just the flip side of this. If they don't do something wrong, how are they going to learn? How are they going to learn? That's you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like why I'll let them do the tweet, and then we talk about it. If we do need to change something, that way they're learning in the process of that. It's not me telling you, hey, write this in your tweet or something. They're having the opportunity to do it themselves.
Yes, and we have to give them that opportunity. We have to give them reasons, educational reasons to use social media.
Yes.
Because if there's not educational reasons, then what's left? We all had those friends who would tell us all the things Mom and Daddy didn't tell us.
Yes.
And those people are still there. They may not be in the house down the street. They may be in the state across the country now. But that's what social media allows us to do. So we have a question from Twitter. Jenny has asked us, does moderation lead?
I know Jenny.
Yes, you and I have both met Jenny. Does moderation lead to false security? Like never driving on the road, but just driving a track, which is a great question. And I think that that's what Beverly has done. She has taught her kids how to get on the highway appropriately.
Yeah.
But I think that those moderated sites also help the teacher become more comfortable and be able to trust their students. So if you've got a teacher who is afraid of
Social media.
social media,
Especially sites like Google Classroom. Those kinds of things are really safe for the new teachers who are just stepping out into the social media realm to get started with it.
right. Do I think that those areas give me everything I want? No. No, there is no one program. Question also is, does moderating lead to laziness and less caring by students as they know it will be checked?
No.
Sometimes
No.
at the high school level, I think it can. I think it can at our level. I think there's a lot less risk-taking by the student when they know somebody's watching all the time.
Oh, okay, okay. If they know they're ultimately responsible versus
No,
where.
monitored is the key word.
Right.
Monitored. You know, it's just like a child who never gets to leave mom or dad's side. And then they go
Protected,
off
but that's not healthy, right?
and that's not healthy either. So there needs to be a balance of all of that. You know, you can't just say, I'm going to protect my baby. And when they're 21 or 18 and they graduate high school, he's going off to college, he's going off to college. And now she doesn't, or he doesn't know how to wash clothes or cook dinner or
Be
pay a
appropriate.
bill or be an adult.
Mhm.
You know, and so the same thing is true with social media. We have to train them up, and at some point, and there's no magic number. The federal government has given us a number of 13 years old, but that's still not necessarily an individually appropriate number.
Well, and I'm just gonna throw something out there. I did not approve a single tweet during our 24-hour Skype-a-thon. The kids, I let it go with them, and they did a beautiful job. I did not have to go back and delete one tweet.
And I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And those kids, you know, if they could come into my middle school class or Rick's high school class with those skills, oh my gosh, the stuff we could do.
Knowing how to be appropriate, knowing how to communicate well, knowing, well, no, I don't think this is the appropriate audience for that comment.
Yes.
Right.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes. And, you know, if we had more of that, would we need as much testing?
Oh, love that question, Tammy. Love that. I also have to respond to one thing that Michelle just put out there. She said, and I'm paraphrasing, if more of our social media content were educational based and there was more educational purposes on social media, then maybe the trivial comments might dwindle if a lot more of their conversations with each other were based on their learning.
I have a brand new group of 6th graders that started really, really, truly. They had one day before spring break with me, but truly they started this past Monday. So we've had 4 class periods together. And today they got to understand Google Documents, and they got to understand Google Classroom a little bit today. And so we had that conversation. What is and what isn't appropriate to put in an educational setting? And what would be better suited for a Facebook conversation at home? And so we went through practice examples. Okay, guys, so tell me something that would be appropriate to talk about here at school. Tell me something that wouldn't be appropriate to talk about in Google Classroom. And we practiced, we modeled. And so I was like, okay, so anybody want to talk about the party on Saturday? And they were like, no. That doesn't go in classroom. That's on Facebook. So they get, then it is real quick. They get the difference there. I think the problem comes when kids have not been given the same opportunities as Beverly's, and they all of a sudden they're in a less restrictive environment. They come from an elementary school to a middle school that's a BYOD perhaps, or they are handed that cell phone without
any knowledge.
Dad sitting down and going, this is what is appropriate and what we expect of you. And I'm not blaming parents. Oh my gosh, they have so much on their plates. But what do they see that us adults in their lives doing? Whether that's us, whether it's the lady at the grocery store who's screaming into her phone, or the 4 people sitting at the red light taking selfies, or what do they see the people around them doing? That's what they model. That's their models. So
I'd like to throw one more thing out there, and it's a little bit contrary to, I think, the agreed upon protocol in my school, but most teachers in my district ask the students to put their phones away. I teach upperclassmen. I teach 11th and 12th graders this year, and I have decided, based upon prior graduates coming back and saying, Mr. Rowe, please encourage your students to know how to use it appropriately and know when it's a distraction, when it's a good time to use it, and when it's a bad time to use it. Please don't tell them to put them in their backpacks. Please let them have them out, but learn how to manage it.
Right.
I think that is a very wise comment coming from a freshman or sophomore in college who is now learning that they're distracted by it constantly, and they wish that they had learned when they were in high school,
right,
not to keep it away, but to how to keep it out and know when to use it.
Yeah.
And therefore, my students this year have permission to have it on their desk, face down, so that as their text messages are rolling in, they're not distracted from the learning by that. And if they need to turn it over and respond to something and get back to the learning, that's something to learn how to do.
Right.
And I know adults that don't know how to do that well.
Or turning off notifications.
So I would much rather them learn in our safe learning environment, in our culture, to say, is it really appropriate to be using that right now because we've just called on you twice and you said, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I said, that's a problem. That's a problem. But let's work through it. Let's not say, put them all away.
Or here, give it to me.
Oh, I don't want their phone. I don't want their phone. I want them to learn, even if there's struggles and bumps, I want them to learn how to do it. But if after 3 or 4 or 5 corrections they're not heeding my request, then put it on my desk. I don't want to touch it. You put it there. I don't want to touch that phone. That's your phone, but I need you to manage it well for your own well-being.
Yep. Okay, guys, so that comes to the end of our 30 minutes. Man, this was fast tonight.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that we're not done with this conversation. So, guys, thank you for joining us here at Full Circle PD. You can find us on the web at fullcirclepd.org. You can also find us on Twitter at Full Circle 360PD. And we use the hashtag 360PD, so you can join us there. And we will be back in 2 weeks, and we will continue talking about social media and the whole child, and we will begin moving towards the whole teacher as well. So we look forward to seeing you. Guys, want to say hello, goodbye, whatever?
We thank you for joining us. We'll see you again.
Bye.
Take it easy, guys.